Another exciting moment on Eve the Woman this beautiful Saturday morning. I am Funmi Omoburiowo. Every 28th of May, the world celebrates International Day of Action for Women's Health. This year, 2021, is a call for action. Hashtag Women's Health Matters. Hashtag End Inequality. Advancing the health of women is very crucial at this period of COVID-19. We all know the pandemic has affected women's health and overall well-being in a number of ways, especially where public healthcare system has been dismal. The pandemic exposes women to a lot of abuse and gender inequalities, infringing upon women's rights to life, health, equality, and discrimination, as well as violence. We need to look at ways we can end discrimination as well as freedom from violence. And today on the program, we have an expert who will enlighten us more on the impact of sexual and gender-based violence on women's health. We have with us right here Mrs. Bose Ironsi, Executive Director, Women's Rights and Health Project. Good morning, madam.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for joining us on the program this morning. We
Thank you for having
appreciate
me.
you. All right, let's start this way. When we talk about sexual and gender-based violence, how would you describe it?
Just as the name goes, sexual abuse, gender-based violence, that is violence against an individual based on their sex. And when you're talking about sexual violence, we're talking about issues about incest, sexual harassment, rape, and which can come in different forms. When you say sexual harassment, when you use words that are not good, that are not how will I put it, that are not very, 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 very complimentary to people, and most especially this happens to girls. And then when you touch the woman anyhow, those are sexual harassment. And then when you tell her she's your wife when she's not your wife, if you go to market, you see some of these traders are touching you, holding you unnecessarily. There's no one that is necessary except you give the permission to do that. So those are abuses that take place. And then, of course, we know rape. Rape is when you have engaged in a sexual intercourse without consent, and also when you could be with objects, with a biro, with any form of something without the person's consent. Then if you are looking at defilement, you are looking at when a child under 16 years, under 18 years, who cannot give consent. Okay, that's defilement. And of course, incest is when a family member or a father is defiling the daughter. So these are what is happening, but it happens. I mean, it's everywhere in the society now.
Yeah. While you were talking, you said the man could tell a girl, my wife, or even say, my wife, or touching inappropriately. Some would say, oh, it's part of our culture. We just see this one, we say, my wife. Even let me look at Yoruba culture, for instance. Your brother, if you're a man, your brother's wife is your wife, like is our wife. Or maybe someone, it's like there is this culture around, oh, our wife, my wife, and all that. If we're saying,
but you don't have to touch me.
Okay, so you can just,
that's our wife, who is my brother's wife. You don't even say, how many people am I marrying in a way?
That's what they will say. They say, my wife.
You understand?
And say, oh, my husband. You know, that kind of a thing.
Yes,
like, this thing is embedded in our culture in a way.
You don't have to touch me. Because especially with kids. You see, uncle has come and the child is carried and put on the laps. You don't know what happened next. And people abuse that, how will I call it, that freedom, the innocence of the child. So if you see somebody who is coming and say, madam, I will marry you, please tell the person, stop there. These are areas and things, the ways that they used to abuse. I'll give you an example. There used to be a friend of mine who told me that herself and her, her daughter and one other of a lady, both of the children, they were going to school together. And so there's this guy on their street. He will call them, "Hello, my wife, how are you?" And then the other girl who have been informed about this information we are sharing now will say, "No, not your wife." Then she went home and told the mother.
Okay.
And then the mother went there and said, "Never you call my daughter your wife. Never you even invite her. Come, let me give you sweet." These are, ways that they lure these innocent children to all forms of abuse. So, but do you know that the other mother was like, "Leave them now. Is it that not the uncle that is living there? Hey, but we know them now." Of course, 2 months or 3 months after, he sexually abused that girl.
Wow.
So these are, ways that we have kind of relaxed because we believe, we know them. 80% of the abuses that happen are not from strangers. They are people who knows us.
Wow. Now, let's look at this pandemic. I mean, the COVID-19 pandemic. Would you say it has contributed one way or the other to the increase in sexual and gender-based violence?
Yeah, there was, I think during the pandemic, about 3,005, if I may. Okay, there was a high increase. There was a spark, especially during that lockdown where there was no movement. Okay, we were able to do some baseline information on what's happening because people were saying, there's sexual abuse and all that. Of course, there's lockdown, no movement, nobody is going out. Okay, and probably usually when there is conflict within the home, okay, the man can go out or the lady can go to market or go to work. By the time they are back, nerves are down. Okay, the children also go to school, so there's a form of safety and all that. Even though these days some schools are not safe, and so it's when you are locked down with your own perpetrator, somebody who fights you, who beats you, what do you expect? So there was increase, no movement. There was tension within the home. The man may not have had enough money to put down as a man. And then some people also believe that the chicks outside were now asking question, what's happening in house? Can't you come out, at least sneak out now and come out, things like that. And then they also discovered that most of their spouses were not kind of faithful, and cool. So there were a lot of things, especially the men, and all that. So there was a spike during the COVID-19.
Now, let's look at how women, girls, how they can be protected from abuse. When we say, okay, sexual-based violence, gender-based violence, how can women, let's start with women, then we'll come to girls, or I don't know how you want to take it. Maybe
Okay, now I want to say that prevention.
Okay.
And so the only way we can prevent abuse is to prevent those who abuse us from abusing us.
Okay.
So that means we need to change the orientation of only laying emphasis on the girl child being decent, being calm, being respectful, being that. Also teaching the boys not to abuse the girls. So if we take it from that perspective, if you have brothers and sisters, tell the brothers not to abuse their sisters. So you don't tell the sister, "Hey, my friend, keep quiet, your brother is talking and you are talking." Because if you give that too much power, because what is responsible for most of these things is about power and control. How do I control this individual? Okay, and then the society, the socialization process may give more power to that man. To he never, he's trained not to ever apologize, and he is never wrong. So let's change the orientation of educating the boys, because now the girls are asserting themselves to say, "I'm not going to take that." And then what you hear, "Oh, now when I say one, she says 10." Because we are beginning to see that, I can't go to school well educated, I'm earning money, I'm getting what I'm supposed to get, and you are telling me sit down at home, don't work. And then even if I have to work, I have to present my salary before you, okay? And a lot of things, and I still have to do a lot of things that the women do. And then, so what are you doing to the man? Then what I'm also saying, we are not helping the men. not to be able to violence is not power. It's not that you have enough macho. No, it's about you are saying I am weak. The only way I can deal with issues with you is to fight you. So we need to change our attitude. Then the girls, being in an abusive relationship is not love. Most times people stay in an abusive relationship and say, no, he loves me. I think it's a matter of interest. Somebody who loves you, so nobody beats his or his body. If he loves you enough, he will not even want to hurt you. So these are ways. And then the orientation should change. Now we are beginning to see the boys also being abused by men or by women. Mm-hmm. So when we are abusing the girls, people said, it's because I know that. And then, hey, guys, girls, you are not weak. I don't like this idea of saying the girls are weak. They are the soft one and all that. What makes me soft? They are the weaker sex. Yeah, the weaker sex. Who makes me weak? You going through nine months pregnancy or 10 months pregnancy. My mother went to labor ward just like you. We were all born. It's the way we are socialized. So we need to change our the way we are socialized. The society needs to see us differently, we women, that we are not weakling and we should not be relegated to the background. And if we are able to change all that, I mean, we are in the class, you are taking first position, I'm also taking first position. So what makes you different? It's only the difference is just our sexual differences. But in terms of my ability, what I can do, of course, science has proven to us. We can see what is happening in Israel. You don't really need to shoot a gun. When you see a socket, you can a rocket coming, you can divert that. It is not by power. So let's try as much as possible to give different orientation, and then let's give information. Most people don't know what to do. And so that brings me to my organization, Irete Resource Center, where we interact with, we create an atmosphere of where women can come and speak to us. Okay. You don't have to wait until you are already battered to death. Silence is not a virtue. You just, let me be quiet, where he will change. You can't change person that have been raised to be abusive. It's except the person is, readjusted to change that behavior.
All right. Looking at what you've said so far, I see this. You've brought the issue of orientation into it, because there's this orientation in the society of, okay, the woman has to be submissive. She has to keep quiet. She can only be seen but not heard. And thank God the narrative is beginning to change. And also, talking about women speaking out. I'm sure back in the day when a woman is being married out, they say, whatever you see there, you have to take it. Whatever you have to stay in the man's house, whatever you are given, you have to endure. It's just like once you go into marriage, your endurance is starting. So all that orientation, how do we begin to give our children that kind of orientation that your relationship or your marriage, you should enjoy it, not just endure it?
Okay, now, first we need, like I mentioned, we need to start re-socializing our people to know that the girl child is a human being. Mm-hmm. Okay, she has rights just like the man, just like the male child as well. Then two, is the fact that there are structures within the society that continuously emphasize to maintain the status quo of woman being subservient. I mean, you should be submissive. And that's what not was quoted in the Bible or in the Quran. That was not what it is. It said the man should love the wife as Christ loved the church. And he said, he who finds a wife finds a divine favor. So why would you relegate me? I shouldn't talk. When you look at me as favor, a divine blessing to you, I should be able to, in short, I think I am the spirit in your life, so to say, because I can direct you to say this is what you should. I am not a slave. Then our schools, those nursery rhymes where we are producing, making sure re-emphasizing the fact that mommy is in the kitchen cooking rice and daddy is in the sitting room
Watching
film, and the
news
boy
and
is
all.
playing ball and the guy is cleaning plate. I mean, those are things that further, keep us in the level that we
I
are.
mean, it registers in the subconscious.
The subconscious, no, it's not. It's very, very conscious
Mm.
that I should be in the kitchen. There's nothing wrong being in the kitchen because we don't use our private parts to cook. We use our brain, we use our hands, we use our skills. But you also discover that in big restaurants, 5 stars hotels all over the world, the big chef there is a man.
That's right.
He's earning money.
Mm.
Okay? So how come when it comes to things, the woman works and nobody sees it as works? She's a nanny at home as a mother. She's the lecturer. She's the nurse. She takes care of the children. She'll do the school run. She will wash the clothes. She will still have to take care of the man, both making sure that food is ready, because you cannot put nara on the pot and it turns to spaghetti. Somebody has to cook it, put adequate water and all that. You have to attend to in-laws and all that. And we don't see that as a job, as work.
We just see it as that
She's doing her normal
doing her
duty.
normal work.
Do you understand?
Mm.
But if you see, they are event planner. Event planner, what's the thing? They decorate the place. I'm decorating my house. Who pays me for it? So these are issues that we need to start changing, the narrative, and making sure that we don't overburden our partner. First of all, and girls should understand, marriage is not supposed to be a prison yard. It's not supposed to be where you cannot express yourself. You are getting into a relationship with a partner. That means in this business we are going into, both of us are working. We are good. We are planners. We should be able to interact with one another.
It's a kind of partnership.
Partnership that is ongoing. So it's not a place where you sit down and all that, because the society also say if a marriage phase is the woman's fault. See, look at you. Nobody ever tell the man how many husbands, wives he married, but they will be counting for her how many husbands. The other time she married 10. The other time it was this. But again, two, we should give education to our children. God, look at it today. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is sitting down women World Trade Organization seat. If her parents never educated her, she won't be there. She's solving a lot of problems. She has really empowered and encouraged a lot of young girls that we are saying, I want to be like her. So, and then the girls should seek for positive models in the society. There are a lot of peer pressure that puts them on the path. Then on the male child, like I mentioned, violence is not power. Okay? And then let us not also forget the fact that domestic abuse is not only about being physical. It's also about being verbal. When somebody calls you uncomplimentary words. So you see that there are a lot of people who are not emotionally stable because they've been told they are not complete, they are useless, they cannot make it in life and all that. Oh, I saw you 2 days ago, you are standing with that man so completely, you are a they cause all kinds of names. They have forgotten that the commercial sex worker in the brothel, she is there because there's clients. Okay? If there's no client, she won't be there. And it doesn't take one to tango. It takes two to tango. So why do we concentrate on the one person and leave the other person?
All right, the program is still Eve, the woman, right here on Equity 9.7 FM, and we're addressing the impact of sexual and gender-based violence on women's health. Our guest this morning is Mrs. Bose Ironsi, Executive Director, Women's Rights and Health Project. And let's move on from there. Of course, we know that some of these issues would affect women's health and their well-being. So how then can we advance the health of our women and their well-being at this time, in the middle of this pandemic? Of course, we know the pandemic is still very much around.
Okay, so I think Women's Rights and Health Project WRAHP as an organization, we have tried to create awareness within the community, and we work with different structures and different groups to sensitize them about their health. And then beyond that too, we also have what we call Irritated Resource Center, like I mentioned before. It's a place where people, we provide psychosocial support for people who are undergoing some trauma, okay? counseling. We also carry out legal clinics for people because we are not waiting for them. Because when there is tension, that is what leads to a lot of high BP, diabetes. You eat, you don't take care of yourself, and then before you know it, the woman is down, and then you may not even be able to go and run some tests when you are sick. You are not happy. You can't work. You are not economically empowered. In Ireti Resource Center, we also respond to issues of SGBV, like making referrals, working with the police to make sure that we carry out arrests. For the past, between September and now, I think we have addressed issues about rape, defilement, and physical abuse, close to 250. So, and then in order beyond that, we're also carrying out community awareness program with women groups so that they can prioritize their health. Because most people don't prioritize. Rather than having money to go and spend on, I'm not saying buying expensive jewelries and all that, but please take care of yourself first. A body needs to, it will be more beautiful when you put something on top of it. Okay. And then they should be able to express themselves. Let women speak out when they are, you know, faced with all forms of abuse in whatever form, or even when they are ill, they feel that this environment is not conducive for me. Let them try as much as possible to reach out to hospitals, reach out to people who can help them, reach out to counselors and all that. So for the pandemic, I think they need to be careful. They still need to make sure that they obey all the instructions, maintaining this